Good early afternoon. Excuse the beard and the unkempt hair right now. Um, I'm on a budget, as you might be able to understand. Like when you get back from a trip, yeah, especially when you enjoy the trip and you don't really let money be too much of a limiting factor. Like, of course, you stay within, your bounds and you don't just blow a check for no reason on something like a tattoo. That would be just wild, right? But you still want to be able to have an opportunity to live and to be able to experience what can be experienced in that place. So you're okay with, like, hey, once I get back home, I'm gonna be locked in. I'm gonna be eating tuna and rice and whatever my parents prepared for me, that I'm coming into their crib and like, yo, you got any leftovers? Oh, the frozen fried chicken from the local restaurant, about, been in the freezer for 3 weeks. I'll take that. Yeah, no problem. I'm saving money. So my hair is also part of that budgeting option right now. But best believe, payday is tomorrow, and the first thing I'm doing is going to get it cleaned up because I just need to feel fresh. I feel very vagabond, which is not bad, especially during the winter time, and especially after going on a very fun trip. But it's eventually time to clean up, and I'm ready for that because not necessarily new. I think the word that comes to mind is revamping, and this is also partially because I saw Nosferatu and I've just been geeking over it because it was just a damn good movie. Oh my god, vampires are swinging their way back, and not like this sparkly, Christy, glowy vampires. I'm talking like hardcore, the real deal, blood-sucking fiends. I'm here for it. But I feel like I'm in a period of revamping, in a sense that nothing is really inherently new, and yet at the same time, it's not the same and the familiar. There's a different coat to it, a different tone that comes with the sound. Maybe things have been tuned a bit more, and I'm producing a different note. Hold on. All right. So yeah, the concept of revamping. I just feel like I've gotten a little bit of maintenance in my life, and I have a clearer set of objectives to accomplish. In the RPG world, you get to a really big point in the main quest, and all of a sudden, like, you might have to travel to another world, or you might have to, like, get a new skill set or a new power, and then you're spending time, like, learning that new power. And then other times, like, you've had that power for such a long time that you got to figure out how to use it in a different way. And maybe that's kind of what I'm at right now, is figuring out how to use these gifts that I have in ways that are different than what I've been using them for. I think some things that are coming to mind right now, one is the word courage, and like, courage, the cowardly dog, And what is courage? Courage is the ability to face fear, danger, and act, essentially. To have courage is to recognize the threat of whatever and still press forward and still move on. And I think in the realm of new, in order to do something new, you're going to be in an uncomfortable space. Uncomfortability often breeds some level of fear. It may not be debilitating fear or really, like, traumatizing fear, but there is fear inherent in it somehow. But courage, it's this like serum that you can just inject into yourself, and then all of a sudden you're able to at least navigate the fear. You might not immediately overcome it, but you have enough energy and power to push forward, to go into the unknown, and to be comfortable with it, because eventually the unknown does become known after you've spent enough time with it. And I think that's all of this is just like a cyclical thing. I've been reading the first reading guide to Britannica's Great Books, and it's about a key to a liberal education, and it says a liberal education is the ability to be a free-thinking human, basically. And I'm reading right now about the trial of Socrates, and Socrates is really, he's on trial for life. Like, he's defending himself against like the Athenian court, and they're basically like, yeah, we're gonna kill this guy because people are saying he's an atheist and he's corrupting our children. And really what Socrates is doing is just asking people to think critically, and he's being vilified. And to think that like this has been going on for centuries and millennia is wild. Like, we've always been vilifying those who ask us to consider life from a different perspective or think differently or critically. And I think that's wild to just like blindly agree to something. I think that is also an aspect of fear, is to blindly just agree to things because the masses agree to it. Like, yeah, you're going to do that because you don't want to be a minority, especially when the crowd has numbers and power. When a crowd has the ability to actively like affect your life and your health and your well-being, that's very scary. So a lot of times we will conform and fold. But at the same time, you know, that's just part of being an individual in society. It's inevitable as long as people gather. There will be a majority and a minority. But the difference is that if we have the power to force others to join our cause, there's a power imbalance there. I think another word that comes to mind right now is discipline. And I love this word. I think it can sometimes get a bad rep occasionally to be disciplined. You know, somebody might be like, oh, that's just punishment. And it's like, no, yeah, that's one form of discipline. But I feel that discipline is getting on track. Whatever that track is, whether it is your behavior, which oftentimes it is, but it doesn't necessarily mean like good behavior or bad behavior. I think discipline, in my sense, is like creating behaviors that are going to be conducive to the direction I'm heading. Are the actions that I'm undertaking now building my path to the goal, or is it breaking my path to the goal? Speaking of breaking, broken tree there. That wasn't there last time. But yeah, like, to be disciplined, I think it is sometimes like, once again, locking yourself into a routine and a set pattern of behaviors and actions that will allow you to hopefully reach whatever goal that you've set. And I think that discipline and goal seeking really go hand in hand. Depends on what the goal is, but more often than not, like, you're gonna have to have a mental shift, a physical shift, a time management shift. The whole 7 pillars of life are gonna have to shift to really reach some goals. Some might not require all 7 to shift, but there might be cases where they do. And I think discipline requires courage, because again, you might have to create new pathways. You might have to stop doing other things, and that takes also courage to stop doing a thing that, especially if it like brings you comfort or joy. You know, don't just completely cut out all the joyful things in your life, but like vices are a perfect example. If you lean into your vices too much, then you can become undisciplined, and that goal that you initially had dreams of reaching becomes farther and farther out of that said reach. So, discipline, courage, and I think the other word that pops up for me is gadfly. Funny ass word, I know. I knew what a gadfly was, but I had to like look it up yesterday when I was reading Socrates once again. Actually, Plato wrote the story, and he's speaking as if the character Socrates was speaking. So really interesting stuff. But it's Plato's writing based on what he witnessed during Socrates' trial. And Socrates called himself God's gadfly given to Athens. And I was like, oh, dude's a horsefly. And when you think about horseflies, because I grew up in the South here, and horseflies are just big old buzzing flies that want to bite you. That, like, normal flies, they're annoying, but a horsefly is like, no, that will really irritate you. And if you let it sit there, it will bite you and it will cause you to act. And that's what he was getting at, is that he has created and become a sort of irritant for Athens. And yet that irritant causes them to swat, to act, to move, to respond. And that's really what he's saying, is like, I am here to be a disruptor. And it was funny that a patient used that word with me the other day. They said that their job at their role at their job was to be a disruptor, to ask why, to essentially cross-examine. And that's what Socrates was so known for, to examine and to cross-examine and to cross-examine the cross-examination. Just a series of asking questions to get a sense of knowledge. Him and Marcus Aurelius in Meditations both talk about the philosopher's life. And I really think that a philosopher's life is a life that is dedicated to the pursuit of knowledge. And not just the pursuit of gaining knowledge, but learning how to live with the knowledge, to distribute the knowledge, because the more knowledge we have allows us to have better actions, better decisions, better pathways of life. The more we know about the nature of the world, the more that we'll know our nature. And that's just a secret that a lot of us have not had a chance to experience, because we just live in this world where there isn't room for cross-examination. There isn't room for second searches and third searches and let's confirm if the sources are correct. Especially now that we have like AI that is summarizing statements and segments for us, and sometimes that comes in handy, but oftentimes like we are no longer, again, cross-examining ourselves. And I think it's really scary to just live in a world where we're accepting all things at face value. Could be really dangerous. So I think it's good. I think on one of these I talked about tranquilo, be tranquil, to go slow. And all these words, tranquility, courage, discipline, cross-examination, philosopher's life, they all require slowness. They really do. And it's not just slowing to halt things. It's slowing to get a better understanding of it, and to give ourselves room to ask the questions and to ponder and to ruminate and to really say, all right, is this something that I want to do? And, sometimes life doesn't give us always that option, and we just got to like take it and go with it. But when we look at the realm of discipline, when we look at goal seeking, especially long-term goals in life, like it's really important that we slow it down, spend some time asking the question, and then ask the question, why did I ask that question? And then ask, why did that question have to be asked after that question? You don't want to do it too many times because you'll get caught in a loop, but you want to do it enough so that you can gather enough knowledge about a thing so that you know what to do with said thing. And again, all this takes time. All this takes focus. Focus requires some level of discipline, especially if we're looking at consistent focus over extended periods of time. And you're going to need courage to commit to the routine that you've established for yourself. If you want to go to that thing, you're going to have to train. And training is going to require you to just say, like Socrates said, I know that I don't know, and that makes me wise.